And we are back for another edition of Behind the Uniform, our inside look at the athletes behind those helmets and those uniforms you see on the field or court every week, and the perspective of who they are away from the field and away from the court is what we like to open you up to. If you missed any prior episode of this series, you can always go to the YouTube page, the Michigan Insider YouTube page, or follow us over on the MichiganInsider.com. Over on 24/7 Sports. That's where it all goes down: football, basketball, recruiting, you name it. But I've been looking forward to this one. He was on the list from there. As we made out the list of guys we gotta get, Braiden McGregor's name was absolutely on it. And that was before his boys told me, both Trevor and Zach said, you gotta get Braiden on here. It was gonna go down anyway, right? We were always gonna call Braiden. He's with us today. So Braiden, thanks a lot for coming by, man.
Thank you for having me.
You were always on there because obviously we've been covering you since your recruitment. I felt like I was sending Bryce out to all your games. Like we were out there like every single week, right? And so I remember the recruiting process being one that was a nail biter, at least from the Michigan fan perspective. But I've always been curious about how close it really was for you. So let's just start there. Going back to your recruitment, kind of take us inside, because I know at one time there were the sentiment out of Notre Dame. They were kind of thinking that you were on your way to becoming a Fighting Irish member. So was that ever the case?
Yeah. So sophomore year, I visited there a lot, and towards the end of my sophomore year, I took a visit there, and I really enjoyed my time. My whole family went there, and it was just good vibes. You know, I loved Coach Elston there, and kind of came down to the academics and learning that, I have to take 2 years of Spanish in a half a year pretty much. And so I was like, I'm not going to be able to do that. So, I just...
So the Notre Dame admissions department basically cost them their shot, huh?
Yep, yeah. But I'm happy that, it did, because now I'm with Coach Elston and all that. So it worked out.
Fast forward to the end, though, your junior and obviously your senior year. Who did it really come down to, Michigan and who?
So at the end of the day, it came down to Michigan, Florida, and Clemson. Those were the top three. For only visiting Florida and Clemson once or twice, I just loved what they had going on there, and I could see myself there, good people and all that. So those were the top three, and I'm pretty happy with my decision.
Now, Clemson was talking to you about tight end, though, weren't they?
Yeah, that's for sure. There was a couple schools that were mainly tight end, and that was it. No defensive line, no anything else, it was just tight end. And so when I went and visited Clemson, their coach that came to visit me at the school, or visit my coach at the school, was the D-line coach. Then when I went down there, I'm thinking I'm going to meet with him. Ended up being the tight end coach that I spent my time with. And they're like, we want you at tight end. You can have an opportunity to play D-line here, but you're a tight end.
Right.
And I just didn't think I was. I thought I'd have a better career playing defensive line, like the edge. So that kind of went into the decision, too, of I don't think I'm a tight end.
Right. So, look, when I hear that, though, it makes me think, and I've done this a lot. I know a lot of people out there have done it, people around campus. You say that, and I think of Aidan. Because Aidan was a tight end and a defensive end in high school. Aidan played lacrosse and basketball. He might have even played hockey. I don't know that for sure. But the other sports, I know he played. He's also 6'7" and 250. If I didn't know better and I was just off the street and I came up and saw you guys, I would swear you were related. I would swear you were brothers. So how often do you get it now? How often did you get that when he was here?
Yeah, now it's one away, which is nice. But when he was here, it was mainly my freshman and obviously mainly freshman and sophomore year, but sophomore year it was really bad, honestly. It was just, people thought I was Aidan, people thought Aidan was Braiden, and it's like, obviously the names too, it's like, okay. And so we got to the point of it was like, we got to figure out some way that people can tell us apart. And I'm like, I don't understand it. I have tattoos, you don't. So I decided to grow my hair out. And I always had like a little like facial hair, and he would always rock the goatee. And I remember one day he came in, he had the goatee, and we both had short hair, and we looked at each other, and we're like, no, it's something that's got to change. So, it's a good comparison. I mean, that's my guy. I got here, he took me under his wing or whatever, but it definitely was all around campus where people would, hey, Aidan. No, I'm not Aidan. But
You never had the temptation to be like, you know, because, I mean, he was that dude. He was a big man on campus.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple times where after games I might have signed Aidan's autograph on something, but no, not really. I mean, I wanted to be me, but it was just funny that it's two big white dudes from Michigan that grew up playing the same sports, play the same position. It's like, of course, right?
Right. Well, listen, the other thing that is very, very similar is his family and your family. It's like, I mean, you couldn't have a bigger cheering section than the Hutchinsons or the McGregors. It's like, I mean, you see mom, dad, sister, everyone's there as like the hype machine. So your commitment to Michigan was a family affair, right? Take me back through that.
Yeah, so when I decided to commit to Michigan, it was just one night. I'm like, okay, I want to commit, but I want to do it in a way that people are going to remember it. And so my dad ended up calling Matt Dudek and saying, hey, are the coaches in today? Braiden just has a couple more questions before he goes silent on everybody and really locks into who he's going to commit to. And so they're like, yeah, for sure, come up. The only person not here is Coach Brown. It's like, all right. So then I sat in Coach Nua's office, and he was trying to still recruit me, and I'm like, can we just get through this? I'm ready to, I'm committing today. It's just they didn't know. So then I was like, honestly, I just want to talk to Coach Harbaugh. He said, all right, but I want everybody in there. So I'm like, can we take a picture first? And my whole family's in the background, and I'm standing there. And when I said it, I thought Coach Nua was going to hit me with a bat. I thought Matty D was going to take me out. I didn't know what was going to happen, but awesome reaction. That just proved to me from there that this is the right spot. Mm-hmm. And my sister actually brought her little puppy with us too. Coach Harbaugh, that's the first dog I've ever had in my office. So it's just, I don't know, it was just good. It was family feel. Yeah. I mean, the way I committed it felt like family, and having my support system there with me was awesome.
Yeah, and so you get the Michigan commitment out of the way. Man, I imagine that was a big weight off the shoulders at the same time. But, adversity is something that every player has to deal with. And for you, you had the injury adversity in high school. So, man, that was a tough one to hear about, to see, to have you go through. What was it like for you being the guy that had to deal with it, a knee injury, no less? Take me back through that time.
So I think it was probably it was the darkest moment I had. I mean, with my athletic career, feel like I'm on the top of the world. It's October, high school football, a crosstown rival. I haven't lost to them yet. I was all excited, and 3 months away from being at Michigan and being able to do spring ball, and kind of looking like everything's going up, and I'm gonna hopefully be able to contribute freshman year, and then it just happened so quick, and I don't even remember getting hit. I just remember sitting there on the ground. First time I ever laid down from an injury, I didn't get up, and got brought back to the medical area, and of course all my family came down, and everyone was all worried, but it definitely put into perspective how important your opportunities are. It can be taken away so quick. One play, one game, it's just, you got to make what you have count, and that's what it really taught me. Even going into freshman year when I was still injured and couldn't participate in camp, sitting there and having that support system, like you said, of my family. Got done with a long day of where I was out in the field, but I couldn't run, I couldn't do anything, and I just have to watch. And talking to them, it got me through it. And honestly, I'm happy that it happened to me, because it made me grow up a lot and learn a lot. I mean, really quick for freshman year. And but happy with where I'm at now, and thankful for my family and the doctors that took care of me.
So freshman year was what year?
2020.
Exactly.
Yep.
So the COVID year. So obviously you're coming back from injury at the same time, and then the world shuts down, and then things aren't going well on the football field either. That's a hell of an introduction to college football.
Right. I early enrolled, was getting treatment. This is what people don't understand of the injury too, is I tore it and got surgery, so I had November and December before I got to Michigan. And with the way that I tore my knee, I couldn't bend it and I couldn't stand on it for, I think it was 6 weeks. So it was just locked out straight. Come here, start getting treatment, start feeling better, and then we were all kind of disappointed. We were supposed to go on this team trip. We remember 6 a.m. Meeting. Guys, we're going to have to shut down the team trip this year. There's this thing called COVID. I had no idea what it was. Half the team was, what's COVID? It's just the flu. And then everything shut down. And I remember sitting in my dorm with Zach, and we're like, what are you doing? Are you staying here? And he's like, I think I'm going to go home. I don't really know what else to do. And yeah, I'll go home too. And then everything shut down. I'm down and out for a month and a half of no treatment, no anything for my knee. So it set me back even farther.
Wow.
So crazy introduction to college, and then thinking we're going to have a season, we're not going to have a season. There's just so many ups and downs. And again, it's just puts everything into perspective that, football and athletics and all that is such a big part of my life. But outside of that, there's so much going on to where something can happen and our season can be done tomorrow. So it's just take what you got and run with it while you have the chance.
Yeah, so man, it was interesting. So you have all that to go through, and then after the 2020 season, there's a big change coaching wise. There are a lot of coaches. There was a lot of transition on the staff, but no bigger than on the defensive side, where you go from Coach Brown to Coach McDonald.
Right.
Obviously, you're a new guy, so you had so much experience with Coach Brown. But how different, even from your perspective, was it going from Coach Brown to Coach Mack?
It was way different. I mean, with Coach Brown, he would put, the edge guys in different alignments that you wouldn't normally be in, or stuff like, just like that. It's hand in the dirt. You're in a three-point stance, and here comes Coach Mack. And I remember my dad texting me before he even got hired in, I hope you get this guy from the Ravens. He runs a really good defense, kind of what you ran in high school where you can stand up on the edge. And I was like, oh, okay. Then he comes here, and it's, no more putting the hand in the dirt. You're going to stand up and be able to pass rush like that. You're going to play a 4-eye. It's like, okay, this is what an NFL defense is. Mm-hmm. So it was way different just from the playbook side. And I felt like it gave me a lot of freedom to where we are now as a defense.
So what were your takeaways from that year? Because obviously, Aidan and Ojabo just went nuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were unbelievable. But what was it like for you as far as the amount of playing time you got, what you learned? Were there any difficulties even in the year where things were going so well for the team collectively?
Personally, it's hard to put yourself in that position of you want to be selfish and you want to get on the field and you want to do what you can do. But then you look and you have Aidan that's going to be a second-round pick. You have Ojabo that should have been a first-rounder. You got guys breaking records that every day you get to be in the room and learn from them. And looking back at it, I'm happy that it happened that way of where I could learn from those guys. But in the moment, I definitely was like, I just want my shot. And then after the first couple of games, when they started doing what they were doing, it was like, okay, I'm happy with the playing time I'm getting.
Right.
I wish I could play more, but I'm going to take what I can get from these guys, learn from it, and be able to put that in my own game.
Yeah, it's interesting. That seems almost every player wants to play, make no mistake. But guys, when you see a dude like that, okay, I get it, coach. I understand why that dude is out there, right? What would you say the biggest takeaways, the biggest things you learned from? Let's just start with Aidan.
So it was tough dealing with him because he treated me like a little brother. So he was hard on me, and I just remember this one. It's going to stay in my mind forever because it wasn't a big deal. It probably was nothing to him, but it was like what flipped the switch for me. Is we were in season and I was kind of nursing the knee still a little bit. It's sophomore year. I know I'm probably not going to play a lot in the games. It was like a Thursday, and the ball got thrown. It was like a bubble screen to my side. Ball got thrown, and I'm jogging to the ball, and then I had my 3 reps or whatever. Got out. Aidan comes over to me. He's like, "What are you doing?" What do you mean? I'm playing. He's like, "Run to the ball." He's like, have a motor that just doesn't stop. He's like, if you have that, you'll be fine. I was like, yeah. That's what I did in high school. I just ran and like, I gotta bring that back. The knee injury's done. It's run, go to the ball, don't stop. So just easy little things like that where it's like, okay, just listen to what he's saying. Watch how he plays. He doesn't stop. Mm-hmm. He's tied up with the tackle. He's trying to spin. He's trying to knock the arms down, whatever he's trying to do. So then off the field, seeing him and I sat next to each other, his nutrition. I mean, he was a freak with the nutrition. He'd have these little packets that he's pouring in his water that are adding electrolytes, and I'm like, I'm good with just water, but he's like, no, like try this, do this. Okay. So nutrition on the field.
Did you kind of adopt that philosophy? Like, what is the strength and conditioning program, Abigail O'Connor with nutrition? How much have they meant to, you kind of taking those steps in your journey?
Right. So the best advice I got when I was being recruited is make sure you like the strength and conditioning coach more than you like your position coach. And Coach Herb, I mean, it's hard. I mean, I love them all. But in the recruiting process, it was like, okay, yeah, this guy is going to get my body right. He's going to get my mentals right. He's going to get everything right. And with spending 3.5 years with him now, he teaches you so much that doesn't even involve football, of just a mentality. And he loves telling stories, and he loves telling, this is how I am now. When I was your age, I wasn't like that. I wish I knew this. And he just gives you wisdom that I don't know if other strength coaches do, but he gives you a sense of he really genuinely cares about you as a football player and as a person. And I mean, the strength and conditioning side, I mean, you can tell with the team. I mean, we're all jacked up and can run and everything. And I mean, he's got my speed up so much since I've been here, my strength, my weight, Abigail, just getting together with all of them. It's just, if you lock into what they're telling you, because they're the professionals, you're the young college student that needs to just listen. And if you listen to him, you're gonna be set. And you can tell with the guys on the team that they're just set.
So you said you're faster. How much faster? I mean, can you quantify that for us?
So when I got here, I think my max velocity was 19 something, and I hit 21.5 last year. So
wow.
Yeah, so tomorrow I'll be able to see how fast I go. Tomorrow's the big day to see. This is our final one before camp to get your final score. So I don't know if I'll be in 22s, but I would love to be in 22s for 40 yards. That'd be nice.
Okay, all right. You remember what Aidan, what his was?
He was right around 22. So
okay.
Everything I'm trying to do is chase Aidan's numbers. I mean, that's what Coach Herb says. He's like, Aidan wouldn't have done that. He would have done this. And it's just whispering in your ear while you're doing shrugs. And it's like, Aidan would have grabbed 180s, not 150s. I'm like, all right. So
can't escape the comparison.
Yeah, can't escape it. And I know he spent so much time with Abigail, just his nutrition too. So that's what I've done. I mean, I get my body scanned to see, okay, how much should I change from the season to the off season, and just everything. She's got girls on the staff that can make plates for you that are exactly what you need to your specs. To way you can. Wow. Yeah. So all you got to do is say you got class till 2, and our meetings are at 2:15. Text them, hey, I have class till 2. Can you make me a plate? And it might not be the most great plate because of all the vegetables and everything else, but it'll fuel your body to where you're going to be able to go out there and play your best. And then in the film room, looking at his notes that he's taking, he had a little, I call it a diary, but he didn't call it a diary, that he would just take mental notes all day.
Yeah, you said Aidan keeps a diary. That's what you just said.
Yeah. And he would just have his playbook, taking notes on there, and then he would just put other stuff on the side too. So I thought that was really interesting how he was like a pro. When he was there, the 2 years I was there, he was a pro the whole time. So just learning from him was awesome.
Yeah, man. And so then it's interesting to look at Ojabo because you had seen Aidan. They were expecting Aidan would have been drafted the year before, maybe not number 2 overall, but he would have been drafted. But Ojabo hadn't really done much.
Yeah.
And then he just exploded, which is kind of like all you guys who hadn't played a ton. You're looking to kind of do that. So do you remember kind of what led up to that? Do you remember, seeing the growth, and did you expect for that to happen with him?
Yeah. So when I would go and visit Michigan, I'd talk to Ojabo all the time. And I remember he got really big before his freshman year. He was 270 something. He's like, man, I don't feel good. I want to run fast again. So then when I got there freshman year, he was really athletic. When we do our sled sprints or our max velocity, he'd be one of the top guys, and he's 6'5", 250. It's this dude's a freak. And everybody knew it was going to come. It was just, when is he going to get his chance? And then when we got when we got Coach Mack in, it just clicked for him. Everything was just there. His pass rush, you could see his drive of, okay, this is my year. I'm taking it, I'm running with it. And just seeing how crazy you can have one good year and you can get drafted like that. And he'd always tell me, man, you need 3 good games. Josh Uche told me that my freshman year. He said, you need 3 good games. Josh Uche had the Northwestern game where he broke out and had, 2 sacks or something. And he said, you need 2 good games, 3 good games, put yourself on, and you'll be set. And so just kind of taking what he's saying and Aidan with just get a good game, build off it, nutrition, be a pro, and watching them both on the field was awesome. I mean, sitting down after like a play and watching how they're talking to the coach, hey, this happened, can I do this, this. I mean, I credit a lot of what I've learned to them, and, you know, they're going to have great careers in the NFL.
Yeah, so, you know, things seem like they're lining up, right? One of the things heading into last year that, not just for you, but for the entire defense, that really seemed conducive to success was Coach Minter, being from the same family as Coach Mack.
Right.
Was that actually the case? I mean, I'm sure there were some things that were difficult in the transition, but I mean, were there a lot of similarities between the two that made it a little easier to adapt?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences. I mean, I felt like when Coach Mack was here, it was 1 year and then he was gone. So then when you get Coach Minter in and you're thinking, okay, hopefully he stays longer than 1 year. You get to know him a little bit more, and you know, he's awesome. He's going to be the first coach that I've had for 2 years. That's
crazy.
So, you know, his playbook is difficult, but when you learn it, everything makes sense. It's not like you're learning just your position. You're learning the whole defense, what everybody's doing on that play. And so it depends on the play of like, okay, this safety's doing this, so I have to like go this technique. You know, so it's awesome with the way that he sets up the playbook and the way that we practice. And, you know, I'm looking forward to another year with him.
Yeah, and so you mentioned it's the first year there you got your same coach back-to-back years. That's not just the DC, but that's also your position coach. Because, you know, you get your position coach changed. It's a guy you know, and Coach Elston. So do you remember when you got word how that all went down?
Yeah. So I remember I got a call randomly from Coach Harbaugh. And, oh, am I in trouble? Hurry up and answer. Hey, Coach. Hey, what's going on? Tell me about Coach Elston. Oh, okay. I had a good conversation with him, told him, yeah, reach out to my parents too. They loved him. Then it felt like the next day or within the same week, he was hired in. So as soon as I saw it on Twitter, I texted him and went to his office the first day he got there, sat down and met with him. And first day, he laid out a plan for me. This is what we're going to do. We're going to get you drafted. We're going to do this. We're going to do all the stuff that I told you when I was at Notre Dame. We're going to do it here now. We're back together, what we planned on doing. And, you know, it's just awesome. It's awesome to have both those coaches that are going to be my second year with both of them.
Crazy.
Growing relationships, that's a big thing, too, is I didn't realize how big relationships were of, you know, just going in there and talking to them and giving your ideas or giving the way you see things. Like I can go into Coach Elston's office and say, hey, I want to take the inside on this play. I really want to, but I know it's not in our playbook, and if I do it, and he's going to go and he's going to lay the playbook out and say, this is why you're not going to do it. But, I mean, I love both of them. They're great guys. They give you the family feel for sure. I mean, any recruit or any person on the staff or players, everybody's got great things to say about them. I mean, it's a family. You know, it's awesome.
So you get into last year, you got Coach Elston, you got Coach Minter. That's a pretty, not seamless transition, but an easier transition. And then you get into the season and start playing more. So what stands out? We'll build up to the Ohio State game. There any part of the year, whether it's a play you made or a mistake you made, that stands out to you before the Ohio State game? Because that seems like the coming out party for Braiden McGregor.
Right.
But what stands out to you before that last season?
So for me, for a negative, was my pass rush was there for the first 2 weeks. And then we played UConn. I just felt like I was just trying to do power too much. And so that was something that I had to work on. Like, okay, stop doing power. The tackles are going to know. I did it the first 2 games. You got to change it up. But like positives, I thought the first 2 games that I went out there, I had solid games. I mean, nothing too crazy, but the Michigan State game, when I had a sack, I felt like that was like, okay, I know I can do this. I just need more opportunities. And that's what happened. I mean, day by day is the practices are what really matter. I talk to Coach Elston all the time, and he's like, if you practice good and, you know, you're going to get more playing time, the better you practice. We'll trust you more. Okay. So then that's how I started, like, getting more playing time as the year went on, too.
Mm-hmm. So you're an in-state guy, and it's Michigan State. Really good segue here. You know what that rivalry is about, or you've heard about it. You live in the state, so you have a feel for it. Could you sense a difference now that you've been in that rivalry and you've been in the Ohio State rivalry? Is it the same when you match up with those guys on the field? Is one chippier than the other? Is one dirtier than the other? Was one talk more than the other? How would you say?
Without putting bulletin board material out for Michigan State, I think Ohio State's a little bit more like, okay, this is the game. You know, everybody talks about it, the game. And you can just tell. I was on the opening kickoff, we were on kick return for the Ohio State game. Got kicked out the end zone or fair caught or whatever, and they're still trying to hit us. I mean, it was like, okay, yeah, this is what we're on. We're going to be – I mean, we're going all game now. So, I mean, Michigan State, you feel it, especially when you go there. My sophomore year, we went there, and they had, a pretty good team. And, you felt it there, but then last year it was like, okay, and then the whole tunnel situation.
Tunnel thing,
It was like, all right, bigger and better things to go on to. We got Ohio State to look forward to, and the Natty too. So it was like.
So
okay.
I know you have Michigan State in your family. So there's, Michigan State week. Your sister, does she rock Michigan gear?
Oh, she's wearing Michigan. Yeah, she's wearing Michigan. She is a ride or die. She's made, I think, pretty much every game. She's skipping Michigan State games to come watch me play. I'm like, go have fun, go party, do the tailgate, have the college experience. She's like, no, I'm good. I want to come to your games. All right, cool. So she's definitely wearing Michigan. She might wear Michigan State while she's around East Lansing, but then as soon as she gets out, boom, Michigan shirt's on.
Yeah, that's that unbelievable super support that your circle really gives you, and give us a moment to get serious for a minute, because I remember seeing your mom on Twitter when the shooting happened up there, kind of talk about, just the feeling, because your sister was actually home at that time, right? I mean, take us back through that, because I was telling you before you came on, I mean, very few people in this state don't have someone they're related to, they know real well, that go to Michigan. So you felt it, whether you go to school there or not, you felt it. You felt the despair, you felt the panic. But to have a sibling that actually goes there, I imagine it was on another level.
Right. I mean, all my high school pretty much goes to Michigan State. All my friends I grew up with went there. My sister goes there. My mom called me like a couple days before it happened. I was like, hey, Jersey's home. She's not feeling good, whatever. I'm like, okay, hopefully she feels better. Not thinking anything of it. And then I remember I got an alert on my phone the day of the shooting. And I just thought to myself, thank God she's home. I mean, even if it wasn't where she was at, if she was away from it, it's still going to impact you, your friends, the people you're around. And that's something that people don't understand is, we hate Michigan State or whatever, but this is besides football, this is besides everything else. It's real life. I mean, and thinking about the way that, she was supposed to be at a night class in the building where it happened. And she wasn't, which, I'm so thankful that she was sick to go home. But seeing the way that impacted her and the way it impacted the whole school, and even my mom, I mean, she was with Jersey, I mean, making sure she was good the whole time she was home. She didn't go back to school for like a month. It's just crazy. It's just so surreal how that can just happen so quick. And, you can be in class, not wanting to go to class, and sitting here, I'm about to fall asleep, and then that happens. It's like class doesn't even matter right now.
Yeah, I remember talking to, people at the time and thinking about how different it must be for you guys in this age to have to think about stuff like that. Because that's the thing, you just said it, it's not just about Michigan State. I mean, there were kids on campuses across the country that were nervous to go back to school because it suddenly makes you realize how vulnerable you really are.
Right, and even with us, I mean, 45 minutes away, next day, half the classes were online. Half the people didn't want to go to class. People were worried going around campus. I mean, you saw all the police officers and trying to make you feel like you have a sense of security and all that, but nothing will prepare you for that if it happens so close to home or people you know. And just around campus, it was just a weird vibe the next day. And I'm sure Michigan State, I think they're back normal now, but I'm sure it was weird the first time they went back. And I remember my sister, when she did go back, when she was walking around campus, there's like emotional support animals all around. Mm-hmm. So it was nice that people were showing support that, maybe didn't even go to Michigan State, just live around the area or just anything. It just helped her so much, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's also noteworthy that, part of them returning to normal, and I imagine part of returning to normal everywhere, was sports. We're a big part. I remember Tom Izzo talking about we want to try to bring people some sense of normalcy through what we do. So you guys played a big role in that, and that was something that stuck out to me about last year. But on a lighter note, you mentioned emotional support animals. You got a couple animals that can serve that role, right?
Yep. Yeah. I got 2 dogs. I have a 3-year-old mini golden doodle named Crew, and almost a year-old Rottweiler named Taz. Okay. And he fits the name. Tasmanian Devil. He's crazy.
Yeah, man, I loved my Roddy. He passed away recently. His name was Woodley. He was named after Michigan defensive end Lamar Woodley.
Okay, yeah.
And he was like that.
Yeah.
He was like that, just a big old, energetic teddy bear. But you said, wait, what did you say your other dog was?
Mini golden doodle.
So a mini golden doodle.
Yep.
All right, so now this is a mix between what now? Let me get this right.
So it's a toy poodle, which is the dad, and golden retriever, which is the mom. So it was very interesting when I showed up and adopted him.
A mini toy poodle and a mini toy poodle was like, okay, I can handle the job. I can handle the job. But man, how did that even work?
Yeah, I have no idea, but he's the best dog. My mom and dad have offered me money to take him away from me. Nope.
So how does it work being a college dude with 2 dogs?
Right.
How does that juggle work?
Yeah, it's not as bad as you would thinking 2 dogs. You're college, you have all this. I have a girlfriend that is an athlete as well, so we both take care of them together. Having my parents so close, during camp they go home the whole month of August, and they're awesome with them, be able to stay there. And the little sister, older sister, they both, hey, can I watch your dog? So just my support system again. Mm-hmm. They just are always there no matter what it is. But it's just, for me, when I got Crew, it was because of the knee. Mm-hmm. It would be nice to have someone around that I can hang out with. And it definitely was. Dogs, I'm gonna go back home after this, and I walk in, it's gonna be like, I haven't seen you in forever.
Right.
It's just makes you feel good, and just,
yeah.
I'm happy I have them, and a lot of guys on the team have them too. So
yeah, I know. We just had Roman, and we didn't talk about his dog, but I remember he got his dog, and he had his dog when you guys were. I think he got it during COVID initially, and now he has his dog back with him. But how many of you guys have dogs on the team?
I would say 15 to 20 of us have dogs, or rather it'd be 1 or 2. Blake and I have 2. Jerm and Mike B have 2 together technically, and then everybody just got sprinkled in there. You got Roman, you got Zach, you got there's probably way more than that. I just can't think of them, but we all got them to go to the dog park a couple times, and it's just funny to see them all. Some of the dogs take on the owner.
Parents.
Yeah, it's like your kids. And, seeing some of them take on the owner's personality, it's just funny.
What are Blake's dogs like?
Crazy. They're good dogs. I like them. It's just when they get off that leash, they're crazy. They're on go. So it's funny. I took them over. It was me, Blake, Makari. We all were at the dog park, and they were just running around. This was when my Rottweiler's only like 5 months old, so he was small. And Blake's dog is Bernie Doodles, are just massive dogs.
What is it with you guys in these mixes?
Yeah.
The Bernie, so that's a Burmese mountain dog and a poodle?
Yeah.
Can somebody help me out?
Yeah.
How are they mixing these dogs?
I have no idea. But
so how big are his dogs?
The older one, I want to say it's probably 170, 180. It's a big dog.
So they're big as Blake, basically.
Yeah. And when I brought him over there, Makari's like, just listen to them run. It sounds like horses. Like, you just hear them coming. It's like, so it's funny though. I mean,
So you know there's like some NIL thing for you guys with dogs, right? I don't know if you guys have started exploring that, but there has to be like, I don't know, PetSmart
yeah,
or
there's got to be something.
Pet Supplies Plus or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing to reach out to them. I haven't thought about it, but that'd be pretty funny. It's all of us got a photo shoot at PetSmart or something,
Right?
with our dogs.
Hey, man. Put it out there in the atmosphere. But speaking of NIL, you know, what has that process been like for you so far, as you know, getting deals and, you know, finding partnership opportunities? How's that process been for you?
It's been awesome. It's been good to be able to grow your brand. And just, you look at it and say, okay, when you get drafted, you're going to have endorsements and stuff like that you're going to be able to get. But being able to do that in college where you can't work, you can't have a job, just get that extra little money in your pocket each month that you're doing, whether it's showing up for a signing or, you know, just something. It's awesome to just have a little bit extra. And, you know, everyone thinks, oh, these college kids are getting paid.
Right.
It's like maybe sometimes of, you know, but the majority of them, it's just good to have extra money in your pocket.
Yeah, man. Roman was telling a story about how he used to not have the money to go to Chipotle.
Yeah.
And now he could go get something to, you know, something to eat.
Yeah, I've been in that situation where I get a text from my mom and dad where it's like, hey, you got, or what was it? It was like 20 days left in the month. This money's got to last you the rest of the month. What are you doing? I'm like, I only went to Chipotle like 3 times. So just having that extra money just helps out, just eases the stress a little bit.
I hear that. So I know part of this process, though, is learning what to do with it, right? Mm-hmm. So I know you met with Morgan Stanley recently. I wonder what your biggest takeaways were from that experience.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm kind of happy with what I just said because that can go into this, is the budgeting. I mean, when I met with them, it was like, wow, if you budget, you're not going to have to worry about money. You're like, you can still spend your money and be able to do what you want with it. But if you budget and you invest and you do certain things with it, you're going to be set. You know, with football, without football, after football, it's like you can take what I learned there in, you know, an hour or whatever and use it the rest of my life. I mean, I learned so much that it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the budgeting of all the things that we've heard guys talk about, that's been like the biggest one.
Yeah.
Budget. I mean, some guys, I think, maybe it might have been Zach who was talking about investments, but I know Will was talking about Roth IRAs, but the majority of guys were talking about how, man, if I budget right, I'm going to be good.
Yeah, because I think that's the biggest thing, too, is, oh, NIL is coming, you're getting paid a little bit, and it's like, oh, now you got this money, I'm going to go buy some shoes. And it's like, okay, you can, but you don't need to go buy 8 pairs. You can buy the 1 pair and go and take that other money, invest it. And then, oh, next month, okay, now I can go buy another pair. Just learning to be smarter with your money, because, you know, you see all the statistics about, oh, these athletes go broke after all this, and it's like nobody wants to be that statistic. So being able to meet with, you know, them at such a young age, I guess, like being able to learn before the NFL and before everything else, it's just, I'm grateful for it to actually be able to know what I'm going to do with my money and not just give it to somebody and say, go invest my money.
Right.
You know? So.
Right. Well, hey, man, this will definitely arm you for the NFL, but some work to do before you get there, getting back to Michigan and really getting back to last season, because we talked about leading up to the Ohio State game. One of the big things we know heading into that game was Mike was banged up.
Right.
So we called him out here. We called him Big Mike. We got Big Mike. We got Little Mike. So Big Mike was banged up.
Yeah.
You were obviously the primary backup. Did you know how much you were going to play in that game? Like, did you expect to play the role that you ultimately played?
No. I would talk to him all the time. How you feeling? You know, oh, I feel good. I'm gonna be able to go. And he practiced during the week, and you know, had it spatted up, or you know, was trying to take care of it. And you know, I just didn't hold up for him or whatever. And when I got my shot, I was like, this is the game, the biggest stage of college football. You got to show out. You know, this is where you can put a stamp and leave a lasting impression on the fans, on scouts, on everybody pretty much. So I knew when I had my shot, no matter what the play was, whether it was a little bubble screen to my side where I can, you know, tip it or whatever, but just whatever I can do in the game, you have to leave it. Like when it's rivalry games, you want to leave a stamp. You want to leave a lasting impression of, oh, I made a play in this game that helps win. you know.
Yeah, and you did. I mean, you were one of the. I remember talking about you, tweeting about you during that game. You made some standout plays that kind of flash. And so take us through. There are two that I'm thinking of in particular, but take us through. And I think you know the ones I'm talking about. Take us through your big plays in the Ohio State game, because I know we see the big touchdowns, we see Donovan's 70-yarders, and we see CJ and his big plays, and we see JJ's touchdown. But on defense,
yeah, I mean, you look at the highlights, and none of mine will be in there.
We see little Mike's, right?
Yeah, you see Mike's and all that, and mine will be in there. But I mean, the first one was, I think it was the first or second quarter. They were backed up on their 20-some yard line, and I was dropping, and I had to drop in the slant window. And the whole week, I knew if they're lined up really wide, it's coming in the slant window. And so when I lined up, I tried to give one little glance so they didn't know I was dropping. Give one little glance, like, oh, they're wide. This is my shot. So I made sure I dropped like way wider rather than deep. Dropped wider, got thrown right to me, jumped, tipped it off with my fingers, and I just looked at the sideline, and I was hyped up. I'm like, oh, so close. Everybody was so mad. Like, I remember seeing Mike Morris's face, and he was, bro, what? I'm like, I tried. And then I got clowned on for, as soon as that drive was done, they were like, bro, you were free. That's a pick six. That's on highlight reels. That would have, like, so it's like, oh, man. All I needed was another inch, 2 inches to jump and really time it up better, and I could have been on a highlight reel, but I guess not.
But that wasn't your only play in that game.
Yeah,
right?
No, it wasn't. And then, one that people don't really know about, because the other two, I had a TFL that I was pretty happy with. Flow away from me. I knew that I had the running back, and so I didn't have any responsibility for the quarterback. And I'm like, he better not pull this ball, because I'm screaming down the line. I got my chance, wrapped him up, and that was cool to me, because you can make the plays where you tip the ball and all that, but like being able to make a tackle in the game and a TFL and have a stat line that besides a PBU, because I'm not a DB.
Right.
And
nor are you a tight end, right? I mean, they're ragging on you for not quite bringing it down, but you do play defense, right?
Yeah.
So,
I haven't caught a ball since high school.
Right.
I mean, practice.
Right. I hear that, man.
Yeah.
So you're in that game, though. They go into halftime nursing a lead. And what stands out to me is how kind of just unfazed every guy that I talked to say you guys were at halftime. Like, oh, we got this. Do you remember that feeling?
Yeah, it was weird. It was really weird. I mean, we knew every game going into it, we know that, I mean, we knew we were going to win. So we're like, okay, we're down. That's all right. We got another 2 quarters to go out there and finish it. It's just, we had the feeling that, oh, yeah, this is ours. Like, we're going to do what people haven't done here in forever. Oh, we get the Ohio State back-to-back. It's like that locker room, everybody was on the same wavelength of, all right, let's go. Let's finish it. Put the stamp in the O, all that. So it was an awesome feeling to go run back out there and hear the boos. And it's like, all right, cool. Let's go.
Man. Yeah, so you take care of Ohio State again, win the Big Ten championship, get to the playoff game. Without going through that game, I'm more interested in coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
What differences or similarities you see in the impact that this year's playoff loss had on you guys compared to last year's? Because as I've been talking to guys, look, everyone knew Georgia was like an all-time great defense, right? It was just unbelievable. TCU, and I always say, I don't mean to disrespect them, but I feel like you guys were the better team. I feel like you play that game 9 more times, you're going to win all 9. So when that happens, does it hit you different? Does it change the way you prepare or focus? Does it do anything different than what the game the year prior did to you guys?
For sure. I remember talking to Coach Elston after the game, and just like, man, how did we lose that? And he said, there's a couple games that'll stick out to me in my career, and he said, this will be one. He said, I had when they're in the semifinals at Notre Dame, I don't know who they were playing, but they were in the semifinals. He's like, yeah, they were a better team. And he's like, it's okay. You're like, dang, I wish we could have won, but they were better. Mm-hmm. But when you walk out of a game where we shot ourselves in the foot, where we made too many mistakes to not win, it's like, It's sad with everybody, even till now. I think it'll sit with us until that time next year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you go to bed and you just think about it, and I'll scroll through Twitter and I'll see just a picture of the TCU Horned Frog. Yeah, it's just that's the game to me. That one and sophomore year Michigan State, where it's like those two are just gonna stay in my brain forever. Where it's like we should have won those games. We should have. There should have been no reason we didn't win it.
And what's crazy is they took touchdowns off the board in both games.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So there were certainly things you guys did to yourselves, but then there were the things that were done to you as well that'll stand out. And I'm sure these are not just things that you think about. If you're scrolling through it on Twitter at home, there are like 5 other dudes at your interest, because you say you got like 5 roommates, don't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I live with kind of weird people think that D-line, O-line don't get along. We get along pretty well. So I live with Zach Carson, Trevor, Gabe Newberg, he was D lineman, and then Joel Herningford, tight end. So it was a very interesting, a block away from the facility. Could walk there. 6 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. My room was probably 10 by 12, so small. And it was just good. It was awesome. I mean, we all kind of miss it. We all moved out now, have kind of do our own things. But it was just great vibes in there. I remember we moved in May, and Zach loves to fish. So he's always fishing. So we went to a pond, and we were fishing. I'm like, man, we should make a pond in our backyard. And there's like no reason. Like, we got 6 cars in this little backyard, and we take a big area and start digging, just digging. And I don't know if it's up to Ann Arbor code, but we're just digging, and we ended up finding this little well underneath. And all of us were like kind of scared to look in there because it was right in our backyard. We're like, bro, our cars are over this. It's just this well. I'm like, all right, let's cover this back up. Dig in a different spot. Then we go to Tractor Supply and get a big horse trough, where you drink, horses drink out of it or whatever. Bought that, put it in the back of Zach's truck, drove back, put it in the ground, filled it up with water, went to the store, got a bunch of fish, died instantly. Quick, like the next morning. So then went to a pond store. She's like, did you guys put the drops in there to make the water good for the fish? And I'm like, no. She's like, yeah, they had no oxygen. It's like, okay. So then we did that, and then Joel's, he was an engineer, so he's like, I'm gonna build a waterfall out here. So he builds a big waterfall that goes in there to get the oxygen flowing and all that, and it was awesome. And then I had the idea, I don't know why, but I'm gonna buy some ducks. Like, if you have a pond, you need ducks, right? And so I go to Tractor Supply to try and get them. No duck. Get on the phone, 2-day shipping. Okay, I'll ship these ducks up here. I get a call from the USPS. Hey, is this Braiden McGregor? We have some birds here for you. Go and pick up the birds. And then everybody loved them. I mean, Trevor would put it on his shoulder, walk around with him. He would take it for rides in his truck. Everybody loved him besides Carson. Carson hated it. He said, this is so pointless. We could have done something cool back here. And then some of my buddies on the hockey team, they ended up getting ducks as well. So there's a little duck gang.
So dog dads and duck dads on campus. You mentioned your friends on the hockey team. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention your guy.
Yeah.
Truscott is your boy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. He lived in the house that bought the ducks too. So we got together a couple times before our ducks got murdered. And I mean, him and I played hockey growing up when we were young. Him, Marcus Stappa, and I, we all played.
Oh man, how cool is that? Both of you be playing, college sports at the same place.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's pretty surreal because in college, or for hockey, you commit really early. So he was committed in like 8th grade. I'm like, man, that's so crazy. He's going to college for a sport, and I'm like, in between hockey, in between football, maybe basketball. I don't know what I want to do. And then being able to, when I committed here, like him and I would hang out all the time. Oh, we're going to do this when we're there. We're going to do this. And then we were going to be roommates, but it was kind of schedules just didn't go together, and I'd be here by myself the whole time because hockey gets to go away and we don't. So It's awesome. I'm so happy for him. He just got named captain.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so it's, he's going to have a great year. And it's just awesome seeing him around campus, too, of just a friendly face that, hometown that you can be like, hey, bro, you going back to Port Huron for this weekend? Oh, yeah, I'm going to go. Okay, cool, let's meet up. So it's just awesome to have him here and Mark and just, put on for Port Huron, I guess.
Yeah, well, if things go like I think they're going to go, you're going to put on in a big way because things are just all lining up. Back-to-back years with the same position coach, back-to-back years with the same DC. You're healthy. You look like you're in the best shape of your life right now. So what has been your focus in this offseason? I'm sure you're working out like always, but what have been the things that maybe you've been working on to improve during the offseason?
So this offseason, I've really focused on pass rush. I told you before we started the interview. Last year, going into the season, I really focused on my run stop. I felt like I wasn't strong enough my sophomore year. I got to get bigger. So then last year I got bigger and I felt really good in the run, but pass something wasn't clicking. So then going into the off season, I'm like, okay, I can trim down some fat and be able to bend better and all that. So I really focused on that. And my girlfriend's got me into yoga. She's got me into Pilates. So we do that once, twice a week, every week. And just being able to bend more. And at my position, you need to be so flexible where you can just bend like a snap, So that's been a big focus of mine going into this season. I feel great. I'm healthy. Everything's looking up for me. I'm just excited and just can't wait.
Yeah, because, man, last year was a breakout year for Mike Morris.
Right.
And, I was saying this before, and I'll say it again here. He had a breakout season. It was the year that made him an NFL guy. And one of the things I used to marvel at is to be a guy that big, to be a guy that Florida State wanted as an offensive tackle. He could move pretty well. Like, he could drop and make plays.
Right.
As impressive as maybe he was given his size at doing that, I feel like the kind of athlete you are, that you might be even better at that trait. And I'm curious what you think about how you fit into that position, because I really see this being like tailor-made for you.
I think that the way that our defensive scheme is set up, it's meant for big athletic defensive ends that aren't scared to get out in the open field and drop, cover a tight end, cover a slot receiver. And that's why I'm so happy that this scheme got implemented my sophomore year, so I could have a year to watch Aidan Ojabo flourish in it, and then Mike Moe the next year, and then now it's like, okay, this is my year. And in high school, being able to play tight end, being able to play wide receiver, whatever, running back, whatever it was, is I knew I was athletic, and so being able to be my size, to be able to be athletic and drop into coverage, it just highlights my skill set a lot, and I think it puts defensive ends like play at Michigan in a better spot when you go to the NFL.
Have you been able to talk to Mike about how, obviously he transitioned into a much bigger role last year,
right?
And it obviously parlayed that into being a pro. Have you talked to him about, gotten any tips? Has he talked to you about, what he did and how he thinks you're going to do?
Yeah, for sure. So when he came back after the combine and after pro day, he hung around for a little bit. And me, Jalen, Derek, Josiah, all of us went out there, and he was showing us drills that he was learning while he was training. And we've taken those drills and brought it into our everyday individual period. And, it's just so good to just have him, because he's so real. He'll keep it 100 with you and tell you exactly how it is. And he's like, man, it's going to suck training, but you're going to love it when you're done. He's like, it's awesome. He's like, just grind everything you do. Give it all 1 year, and then it'll take care of itself. So being able to talk to him and being so close with him just has given me you really do need 1 year to go out there and have a great year and be done. Mm-hmm. And, he's a great guy to talk to if you just need anything too. I can text him right now and say, hey, what can I do for this? Like, if this tackle kicks this way, like, oh, this is what I did. So I just like being able to bounce ideas off of him, off of Ojabo, Hutch, Quiddy, all those guys.
So you said you're working on your pass rush. What have you done specifically to work on pass rush?
So I've watched a lot of film this offseason. Not even on tackles we're going to play, a lot of NFL tackles, the way they set, the way they shoot their hands. And having Quiddy, he was around the building for about a month or so. And being able to go out there with him and sit down and not have to go full speed and just okay, talk to me about how you rush, Quiddy. I want to know what's in your mind when you're rushing. And he's like, don't watch the offensive schemes the way they're doing stuff. He's like, watch the tackles on the way they set. See, every tackle sets the exact same way, and they try to change it up with like, oh, shooting this arm instead of this arm. And he's like, but their footwork is all the same. He's like, if you get their footwork uncomfortable, he's like, you're going to win every time. So make every rep look the exact same footwork, same get off, same head fake if you're going to, all that. So being able to talk to him with that, it's just insane to learn from all those guys. I mean, you look at our track record of DNs here, it's like I can pull up my phone and text any of them, and they'll all give me, oh, do this. It's just so good to have those type of guys that you can talk to.
And talking to the offensive guys, they know who they are, they know what they are, but there's this sense that having kind of the same scheme, the same play caller, at least one of them, in back-to-back years, they've seen how that impacted them before, and they feel like there's another level. So I'm curious for you guys who haven't really experienced having the same DC back-to-back years, do you kind of sense that there's another level about to be unlocked for you?
Oh, yeah. You can play so much faster when you have a guy for 2 years that this is the play he's calling, this and what I know exactly what I have. I can just go upfield. I don't have to worry about anything else. It just makes you be a ball player. It takes the thinking out of it. When you think too much, you make mistakes. So having him for 2 years now is going to take mistakes out of the game. It's going to make people play faster, more trust in our system, more trust in each other on the field. And that's what he's tried to bring. I mean, the trust with each other. Like, I look back there, I see Mikey, I'm like, I know he's going to lock this guy up for two and a half seconds. I need to get 2.5 seconds at least first, to get to the sack. I mean, just having that coaching staff back on the offensive and defensive side, it's so exciting. You look around the building and everybody's happy to be there. Everybody just can't wait. We're all focused on the same thing, and we're just all excited.
Yeah, you got some new guys in the culture, some transfers. So you mentioned Josiah. I'm curious your early impressions of him, and then your perspective on all these new offenses. That's where you really cleaned up with the new offensive linemen. So how about that?
So Josiah's a freak. I've said this since he's got here. He's a freak. He's so fast. He's athletic. He's built like a pass rusher. And when he first got here, I'm thinking, he's a little shorter. He's a little lighter than, me. And I'm like, he's definitely going to be a speed guy. First rep I see, just boom, power, running down the offensive line's face. I'm like, okay, I guess that's okay, yeah. So just seeing him and talking with him as well, of like, I have a different idea when I'm rushing because I'm a little bit taller, a little bit longer. And he's like, and then he has a different idea because he's got to play to his strengths. He's like, I can't let him touch me because if I let him touch me, it's over with. So being able to take what he's talking to me about, what I'm telling him about, it just helps our game, helps everybody's game. And, having a transfer like that's done so well at the previous school and is going to do so well here, it's just exciting, And he's just such a good dude.
Right, and so then you add some veteran offensive linemen to the fold who have all played some big-time football and played at a high level. So what if you got Myles, you got Ladarius, you got Nugent. Yeah. What about them?
So I'll start with Drake. So Drake, when he came up here and was official, he came to that house with the 5 guys and the Ducks and all that.
And he still came to Michigan.
Yep, and he still came. I don't know why. He must have loved it, but so he is a great dude. I mean, Michigan recruits great people. He fit in with us so well, so quick. All went on spring break 2 months after he got here. Just a good dude. And he was injured when he first got here, so I didn't know what kind of ball player he was going to be. He didn't do spring ball. But that guy is the hardest worker on the team. He grinds so hard. I was telling you before, we'll text him, hey, you want to go get some food? I'm at the facility. Okay. Hey, you want to do something tomorrow after our lift? I'll let you know. And you text him, hey, you want to go golfing or something? Oh, I'm still at the facility. It's like, all right, man, how much work can you get in? But guys, I mean, I do pull-ups with him. He's got 40 pounds. I mean, he's just ripping them. And I'm like, yeah, this guy is a freak. No wonder. But just a great dude. I met his dad. His dad's awesome. So just a lovely guy. So I'm excited to see what he can do on the field. I mean, I've seen the film, and he looks like he's going to do good. So I'm excited for him. Then I'll go to his teammate, Myles, obviously his teammate still. But I came from Stanford too. I knew his brother Chris. Chris and I were really close. So I knew with getting Myles, we're going to get a great dude, great family. Really excited for him to come, and dude's awesome. He's just such a nice guy, and what I'm so excited for is how big he is and how strong he is, to see how he does on the field with it. Like I told you, we were in the weight room, and dude grabs 170-pound dumbbells and just boom, boom, boom. Wow, that was really easy. He's like, yeah. I'm like, you could have probably done 200 each hand. He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, next time let's do it. Okay. But yeah, which you do it Tuesday, so he's gonna grab the 200s probably.
200 pounds in each hand.
Yeah.
And can hold one up, press one, bring it
Yeah.
down, press the other, and then press them together.
Yeah, he's a freak. And then LD, I haven't got to know him as much. You know, he just got here with the whole transfer thing and all that. But really nice guy. I mean, his wife actually made the shoes I'm wearing today.
Okay.
Yeah, so she got the custom paint. And he's just awesome. Hard worker too. I mean, he's just like Drake and Myles, like exactly like that. So, you know, I love the guy. He invited me over last night. It was him and his wife, Blake and his girl, Mikey and his girl, and then me and my girl. I couldn't make it because my girl wanted to have a volleyball dinner. Okay. So I felt left out, but just a good dude. I mean, just awesome. I mean,
you gotta
everybody.
learn, man. You gotta make it sound like you want to be there. It's like you gotta learn the tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
You gonna get some. She gonna give you some bad marks for that, but
Yeah.
you gonna get some high marks for shouting out, getting you some custom J's, man. So you're a sneakerhead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was really big into it. I remember I'd spend all my money. I'd work all summer, and then I would just buy shoes, flip them, buy shoes, flip them. I was part of this Facebook group chat called Scoop 208 or something, and I'd always text them, hey, if you have anything at 14, I'll buy them. And I would just buy any shoe. It wouldn't matter. My mom and dad would say, why do you keep buying and selling them? Like, we're paying for the shipping. Like, why? Like, I got to go and drop them off at the post office. I'm like, just wait, just trust it. So then I finally, after like 3 shoes that I flipped, I got the Yeezy 350 Turtle Doves, like, and those were like $900. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited to get them. Flipped them like a couple months later for like $1,600. So that's when I really got into it. And then when I turned 16, I needed a car. Sold it all. So it was kind of sad. Didn't have a couple shoes for a while. And then recently been getting back into it. I probably got like 30 pairs now, but
Okay.
you know, trying to get back up there where I was.
Okay. Yeah, we might talk. I mean, a little bit of a sneakerhead. So the other thing we know, I mean, we can look at your Jay, see that you take pride in your shoes, and then we
Sure.
look at you, and you are a walking art piece, man. So now, that's a little bit different than when you got, because it wasn't quite as noticeable. So,
Right.
you know, you did have at least one tat when you got here, though, right?
Yeah, so when I first got recruited here, if you go on my Instagram, you go all the way back to my first picture. No tattoos, long hair, baby face. I had like a sleeve on, like a arm sleeve that like just made like was a little big on my arms, a little skinny. And then I decided to get them. My first piece was for my grandpa. And then so I had pretty much this whole sleeve when I was here. Besides, this was like half done. Zach used to make fun of me about it. You need to finish it. You need to finish it. I'm like, yeah, I do. And then I think Blake and I kind of got each other addicted to it. We were like next door neighbors in the dorms, and he's like, hey, when are you getting tatted? I don't know, you trying to get tatted soon? He's like, yeah. And then we found this guy that has done pretty much all my work. He's in Grand Rapids, and he's done Blake's sleeves. He's done half the team. Really nice dude, just takes care of us with, oh, you need to get in. I know you guys got crazy schedules. I'll get you in. But I mean, a lot of it's like my story. I
was going to ask you that, because a lot of guys, you know, the tats come together to tell a story together. Do yours do that, or are they each individual stories?
Right. So I just sat through a 16-hour, 2-person back tat session in May. And that was probably my favorite tattoo I'll ever have until I have kids and get something for them. But that's my favorite tattoo I have. It's everything from my childhood house to the hockey rink I grew up playing at, the youth football field, just everything from Port Huron. It's pretty much every landmark that means something in Port Huron, and everything that means something to me is on my back. And it's only about halfway, I mean, it's like to the middle of my back, but I have the lower half I'm going to finish, but that's going to go towards my next journey when I'll add the University of Michigan and then everything underneath. So it's kind of going to be like a little journey of how I started and where I am now.
That's cool, man. And,
Yeah.
we'd be remiss before we get out of here if we didn't spend more time to talk about, every step of the way, that support system, man. I mean, they have ridden with you from the beginning. They'll be there with you until the end. So what about your family and how supportive they've been?
Man, they're awesome. I'm going to bring in a little story too, right, real quick, of the Aidan and the comparison and stuff. So my dad loves tailgating. He loves coming to the tailgates. We're an hour and a half away. If we have a new game, he's at the gate waiting to get in at 8 o'clock. It opens like 2 or 4 hours before the game. So he's there trying to be the first one in. So sophomore year, finally can tailgate. COVID's done. And my dad decides, I'm going to be the first one there. And guess whose spot he ends up taking at the tailgate? Aidan Hutchinson. So his family comes pulling in, and my dad was already all set up, and they pull right next to him. Dad's like, hey, I didn't take your spot, did you? Did I? And he's like, yeah, it's okay, though. So then after games, we'd all walk back, and one time Aidan's grandparents mistake me for Aidan. I did have everything covered up and a hat on, but it's just funny. My parents are at everything. My sisters are at everything. I'm excited this year. My older sister, she's got a boyfriend now that's going to be coming to games too. And it's just good. I love being able to have my family there and just before games, nerves are going a little bit, be able to walk out there and just take 10 minutes and just not worry. Just be like, okay, they're here, support me, boom. And they are at every game, and it's hard to find them in the stands sometimes. I would think it'd be easy, but I swear they try and hide from me. I think my dad thinks it's a joke because I'll turn around, we run out the tunnel, and I'll look up there, and I swear he hides behind somebody or something because I can never find them. But they're at every game. Biggest supporters. My dad's like, I got to work overtime this month so that I can pay for a plane ticket to get to Maryland, and you don't got to go that far. It's fine. Watch it on TV. Because you used to joke around with me when I was being recruited. I'm going to have a front row seat right here in my recliner. I'm like, come on, man. You don't need to come to everything. But they love the journey. They love it just as much, if not more, than I do. But, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's awesome to see. I get a kick out of watching them live it with you. So that is super, super cool. And super cool of you to drop by and really take us and take all the people into Braiden McGregor. I know the best is yet to come.
For sure. I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. Folks, that'll do it for another edition of Behind the Uniform. If you like this episode and all the others, be sure to like the YouTube videos, like the channel, tell all your friends about it. Of course, if you want to see everything that we do, you can check us out over on the MichiganInsider.com, football, basketball, recruiting, you name it, all on the 24/7 Sports Network. Until the next time, thanks for watching another edition of Behind the Uniform.